Welcome back to Let's Read Latin. There's a lot of birds outside, but we're going to be continuing where we left off previously. Cicero was impersonating Appius Claudius Caecus, the guy who made the aqueduct and who was a very famous ancestor of the Claudian gens and an ancestor of Clodia, who had just scolded his great granddaughter. Now he's going to talk to Clodia as Cicero. Sed quid ego judices ita gravem personin duxi ut verea ne sidem Appius repente convertat et caelium incipiat accusare illa sua gravitate censoria. He asks the question with quid, but why? So quid can mean why as well as what. It could be like a synonym of cur. But why did I, O judges, bring on stage? Why have I brought on stage? Inducere, literally bring in, and is used also of bringing a character on stage. Why did I bring on stage ita gravem persona? Such a serious character. Persona. Persona literally means mask, and it will be used to mean mask later there. But it's also used for the character that the mask represents. Caecus is a real man, like he was a historical figure, but he's treated like just an ugly mask, I guess. Well, not really ugly. He just says that the beard was a big, horrid beard, but this was he's treated like a character that Cicero puts on as a personality. Why did I bring on such a serious persona? Seems almost like a fictional character, although he is a historical character. That I would fear, that I fear, that he would turn around, se convertat, literally turn himself around. I'd just say turn around. And idem Appius is the subject, that the same man, Appius, the same Appius guy, would suddenly, repente, turn himself around, turn around, and begin to accuse Caelius with that seriousness is that's the noun in this illa bit until censoria is all ablative, with that seriousness, and then censoria belonging to a censor. Censorius would be the nominative masculine form, but this is ablative agreeing with gravitate. With that senses, I could say censorious seriousness belonging to him, sua. With that censorious seriousness of his. So the whole sentence was, this whole question was, but why did I, O judges, bring on stage such a serious character that I fear the same Appius would turn around suddenly and begin to accuse Caelius with that same seriousness of his that's belonging to a censor. The censor was in charge of public morals. And so that's a real problem, because he brought on stage a cranky old man who has just scolded Clodia. Shouldn't he also scold Caelius? Everyone should be thinking that in the audience. Popcorn at the ready. Sed videro, hoc posterius, atque ita judices. Let's go on to posterius, but I will see to this. I will see to this, as in I will deal with it in my arguments. Posterius means later, but can be translated as like presently in English, because presently means soon. Not now, but like really soon. Later by a little bit. I will see to this presently, and in such a way, O judges. Ita in such a way is like adverbial, in such a way that, because ita can set up what do you call the "your mama's so fat that" clause? It is the result clause. In such a way that I am confident that I am going to prove, as in prove the innocence of, probaturum esse future infinitive, that I will prove the innocence of Marci Caeli Vitam, the life of Marcus Caelius, to even the severissimis, the most harsh, the most serious, severe of judges. That's definitely a superlative that intensifies his confidence that he will prove the innocence of Marcus Caelius's life. Tu ero mulier. Direct speech here with that vocative woman. You indeed, woman. Even the word you, tu. Tu ero mulier. Indeed you, woman. Iam enim ipse tegum nulla persona introducta locor. For right now, I myself, ipse, that's, if it was a third person, like he, it would be he himself, but because it's going to be locor, it's I myself. I speak myself with you, with no mask brought on, with no mask put on my face, without wearing a mask, essentially. Not speaking in character as Caicus. For now, I myself speak to you without a mask on. Si ea quae facis, quae dicis, quae insimulas, quae moliris, quae arguis, probare cogitas. This is the start of a conditional. It's a present simple because cogitas is present indicative. If you think to prove the truth of, ea quae, those things which, ea quae is neuter plural, so I've added the word things. If you think that you're going to prove, but really think to prove that which you say, dicis is say, facis is do. Those things which you do, which you say, which you allege, which you plot, which you argue. With the word like plot and argue and those kind of things, makes her out to be a bit more like the fiction writer here, which you're sort of making a story out of. If you want to prove your narrative, rationem tantae familiaritatis, tantae consuetudinis, tantae conjunctionis, reddas atque exponas neces est. It is necessary. That's the first bit. In English, we would say it is necessary first. But in Latin, the tricolon, such great, and such great, that comes out first in Latin, giving it even more emphasis. It is necessary. It is necessary that you reddas, you return a ratio. Ratio, like a reason, an account, that kind of, that you render an account. Atque exponas, and you explain. It's necessary that you render an account and explain the reason of such great familiarity, such great friendship. I guess it means the same thing as familiarity. Being used to someone is consuetudinis, related to the word for custom. It's necessary that you render an account and explain the reason of such great familiarity, such great friendship, such a great connection. Accusatores quidem libidines, amores, adulteria, bias, actas convivia, commissationes, cantus, symphonias, navigia iactant. Indeed, so quidem is indeed, quidam with the am is a certain or certain ones. The accusers indeed. They and then there's a long list in the accusative. They something these things, but we'll go out of order. Yaktant. They keep mentioning. That's related to yakare, throw, as in throw in a mention of. But with the T in the root, yaktare has a meaning of do something frequently, mention frequently, keep on mentioning. Indeed, the accusers keep on mentioning lusts, libidines. Libido, lust, is a big theme of the argument, where if you're characterized by your slavery to your desires, your libido, then you are an untrustworthy and a bad character. And libidines is kind of the summary for everything else in this list. It's a sort of a restatement, but also a colorful, detailed exposition of what libidines could manifest as. Indeed, the accusers keep mentioning lusts, love affairs, adulteries, or like acts of adultery, the place of baiai, I'll explain in a moment, beach parties, dinner parties, carousing, songs, band music, and boat parties. So Baiai, that place name, it's a beach resort known for gambling and prostitution. Very kind of close to Rome. It's a ritzy, as in like a fine and expensive kind of beach resort place that's pumped up with cash from all the gambling money, and is associated with luxury, gambling, prostitution. I think that the closest modern equivalent that has some weight in even just its name is Las Vegas. Like when people say, we're not going to talk about Vegas anymore, or something like that. There's some significance about things of bad character that were done in Vegas. So they keep mentioning all these acts of lust, including everything in this list, including just the place name Baiai. And the idemque significant. They and the same people, the same accusers. That's a plural nominative e. It's shortened from ae. Idemque, and the same accusers. I wonder if it could be interpreted in other ways as well. I reckon I'll just go with the nominative. The same people, the same accusers indicate that they say dicere, that they say nihil, nothing, and then ablative absolute te invita, with you unwilling. As in, and the same accusers imply that they say nothing, that they don't say anything against your wishes. He's pointing out a contradiction in the argument of the prosecution about accusing Caelius of lust because he was in a relationship with Clodia, and Clodia being the witness of that relationship. If she was there in the thick of it all, surely she is just as guilty of libido as Caelius. Quae tu quoniam mente nescio qua effrenata que praecipiti in forum de ferri judiciumque voluisti. Stop there for a bit. Quoniam is the main introduction here, since it's going to cover that whole thing. Since you two wanted voluisti these things. Quae. So that's our core of the sentence. Since you wanted these things to be something, is what it's going to end up being. But before we get to that next main bit, mente until effrenata are in the ablative, and it's like mente means mind, with a mind that is blah 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 blah. All of those adjectives describing it. With a mind that is effrenata, unbridled, a metaphor from horse riding, out of control, because the bridle is used for controlling the direction of the horse. With a mind that is out of control, unbridled, atque praecipite, literally headlong, like falling head first, that kind of thing. Reckless, or rash, that kind of thing. Impetuous. With a mind that is unbridled and impetuous. Nenescio qua is also describing the mind. I don't know what sort of, literally. I don't know what kind of mind, unbridled and impetuous. That's a very wordy translation with nescio qua. You could say an unthinkably unbridled and reckless mind. That could work, because it's like he's expressing his inability to properly describe it because he doesn't know what kind of thing it is. Since you wanted with a mind that is, I don't even know what sort of mind, but it's unbridled and reckless. Since you wanted quai, these things, referring to her libidines, her lusts, to be dragged out, de ferry, into the forum, to be brought down, literally, but dragged, it has the sense in English of being brought into public view, to be dragged out into the forum and the judicium, the law courts. Basically the same place, he's just saying it twice. To be dragged out into public view is the idea. To be dragged out into the forum and the since you wanted these things to be dragged out into the forum and the law courts, aut diluas oportet ac falsa esse doceas, aut nihil neque crimini tuo, neque testimonio credendesse fateare. That is, out means either or. Either it behoves you. It behoves you means you ought. It's a third person, impersonal kind of verb. It will always be third person. It behoves you means you should really do this. Either you ought to deal was, explain, ac doceas, and teach, literally, but you'd say inform, falsa esse, that the things, which are the quai, neuter plural, which are really the libidines, the lusts, or at least like your account of them, is false. Either you must explain and inform that they are false. Out, or, so this is the either or part, out, or you must confess. That is, oportet is still affecting fatearis. Its unshortened form would be fatearis, but this is an alternative form, fateare. Comes from fateor. Confess is a deponent verb, appearing to be passive, but having an active meaning in English. You must confess. I guess confessing is an action that involves the self, hence why it's likely to have been a deponent verb. But I'll get back to the meaning. Either you must explain that stuff is false, or you must confess that nothing, neque is like neither of your, like neither in your criminal charge, crimen, charge of a crime, neither in your criminal charge, neque testimonio, nor in your testimony, credendum esse, ought to be believed. And that is a powerful argument because he is presenting them with two options, both of which discredit Clodia. One of which is she is lying and there was no such libido everywhere, or she's telling the truth and she was involved in all of the libido, and since you don't trust people who are involved in that libido, because that's part of the arguments of the prosecution, don't believe Caelius. He is full of libido. He is untrustworthy. We don't need this citizen his politically violent, dangerous man with libido, with lust. And well, so if that's true, then Clodia is in the same category and is an unreliable witness. It may be worth mentioning that the class of people that prostitutes belong to, like the slave class, they are unable to give free testimony in court. There is a saying going around that the slaves had to be tortured in order for their testimony to be trustworthy in court. I do need to check that. I've heard it multiple times, but I do need to check the citation of that. But it sort of shows you the brutal nature of the society, but also the disregard for evidence in court if it comes from someone of an untrustworthy character, such as a slave. I don't think I don't think Cicero is accusing Clodia of being a slave. Let that be clear. But he's associating her with people characterized by libido lust and making her witness untrustworthy because she's participating in that untrustworthy activity where the desires of people control their character, making them an unreliable person in general. So yeah, I hope that makes sense, and we're going to continue next week with, or next time, with the impersonation of Clodia's little brother, littlest brother.